I will be doing a quick tank review for the Japanese Tier 7 medium tank, the Type 5 Jiri. The Jiri I have a mixed opinion on, as it is a good and it is a bad tank at the same time. It is good and it is bad when it comes to the paper stats and the equipment of the tank. I would generally say if I like a tank or not in the beginning of the video. The Jiri I have a mixed opinion on, as most of my matches I had in the tank I just did average in. Most of the matches were just average. I didn't do all that good nor bad in this tank. This tank overall it is just a average tank. It is not that good, nor it is bad, nor it is bad. There are other better Tier 7 medium tanks in game that you can use that can outperform the Jiri in most areas, such as the Panther, the Comet, the T-20, the T-43, and etc. I hope you can actually learn a thing or two in this video review so you can make your own informed opinion about the Jiri to see if you want to keep it or sell it by the end of this video when you have the tank fully researched. Let's get to the exterior view of the tank now. The Jiri armor from the outside, it is pretty bad when it comes to the front, side, and rear of the tank. This tank has a lot of weak areas. From the front of the tank, pretty much every single gun in the game up to Tier 9 can pan it with ease. The only thick part of the tank, it is in the gun mantlet itself, which have effectively 150 millimeters of armor. This tank, it does have some angled armor in the front, but pretty much most tank guns can pan the tank with ease, even with the angled armor added in. The thickest part of the armor, it is located in the front of the hull and the turret. HE rounds from TDs and artillery can potentially one-shot the Jiri if they are lucky enough. HE rounds from TDs or artillery can do full damage from the side and the rear, as the Jiri have pretty bad armor when it comes to the rear and side of the tank. The Jiri weak areas, if you do want to know them, is the lower glacis plate, the driver's port, the gun mantlet in the hull area. This gun mantlet next to the driver hatch here have a 37mm tank gun and a machine gun. The turret, it can be panned with ease. The turret, when you're facing the tank head-on, the two weak areas, it is the open top tank pretty much. The IS-3 have the same weak area. If you hit anywhere on top of the tank here from the front, you will pen it with ease. This commander hatch here can be penned with ease if you can hit it. The capita is a weak area as well. If the turret turn and show the machine gun port and the driver hatch to the side, you can pen them with ease. This tank armor is so bad that if you shoot anywhere in the front, the shell will pen and do damage most of the time. From time to time, you will get a few lucky ricochets but don't count on it. This tank armor is pretty bad. From the side, when you do have the top engine equipped, you will have a 20% of the engine being set on fire. If a well-placed shot hits the engine department in the back of the hull or the rear of the tank. So having a fire extinguisher is pretty important. The crew in this tank can be knocked out pretty easily. So having a first aid kit to get the commander, the gunner, the driver, the radio operator, and the loader back into action, it is pretty important. So a first aid kit, it is a must. The modules that can be knocked out pretty easily, it is the tracks, the ammo rack, the turret, the gun, and the engine. Also the fuel tanks as well. But from the front, you will have to worry about the tracks, the engine, the ammo rack, the turret, and the gun. From the rear and side, you have to worry about the fuel tanks and the engine being knocked out. So having a first aid kit, a repair kit, it is essential. This tank, you do not want to have a damaged gun or the engine knocked out, because this tank is pretty bad to use when either of them is damaged. The engine, when it is damaged, will offer you 50% of the horsepower for the engine. So this tank will be moving very slowly, which means if you're in the open, the tank can die pretty quickly, as you will not have a lot of hit points to spare if a lot of tank guns are aiming their guns at you. Overall, the modules, the crew, and the tank, it can be damaged pretty easily. Let's get to the tank stats now. The Cheery stats, when it is fully upgraded, you will have 1,250 hit points for the maximum hit points on this tank, which is quite a lot of hit points. The maximum load limit with the top tracks, it is 44.8 tons. My current setup, it is 42.66 tons. The top engine will offer you a 550 horsepower with a 20% of the engine being set on fire. The top engine, when it is equipped, when you're on flat terrain and with a good crew, you can hit the 42-kilometer mark pretty quickly if you are going in a straight line. If you're going downhill, you can actually hit the 42-kilometer mark pretty quickly if you're heading downhill. The hull and the turret traverse is pretty bad. It could be worse, it could be better. The hull traverse, it is 34 degrees, which is not that bad, and nor it's good. The turret traverse speed, it is 36 degrees, which is not bad, not good. The armor, it is pretty bad, as you would have gotten used to it. Most guns can penetrate the GV disease if it just shoots anywhere. The front, 75 millimeter to the front, 35 millimeter to the side, rear 35 millimeters. The turret, well, most of the armor is. The gun mantelet have 150 millimeters plus armor. Most Tier 7 tank guns plus can penetrate the gun mantelet with ease if they use the correct gun and the correct ammo type. 75 millimeters of armor in the front. For the rest of the turret side, 50 millimeters, VL 50. Even with all the angling the turret and the hull have, the armor is not going to save you. From time to time, you may get a lucky ricochet, but don't count on the armor giving you ricochets. The gun on the Fury, it is pretty average. It is pretty much the same gun that you will have on the Cheeto when you have the Top Gun unlocked. The only difference between the Cheery gun to the Cheeto is it is that the Top Gun it is a autoloader which have a pretty good rate of fire and a good aiming time as well. The gun depression for the gun it is 10 degrees downwards and 20 degrees upwards. With the proper setup, you can have between 15 to 18 rounds of, of shell firing in a minute, which is pretty good. You will have, in most cases, 15 rounds of fire per a minute with the autoloader. The loading time, the default loading time, it is 10 seconds without crew or modules taking in effect. With the crew skill and the modules setup I have, it is 8.44 seconds for the loading time. The aiming time on this tank, it is pretty good. The view range for the top turret, it is pretty good. It is 370 meters. When you add in coded optics, view range enhancement perks, binocular telescopes, you can have up to 350 meters of view range pretty quickly. The top radio that this tank will give you, it is 750 meters. The view range and the signal range is pretty good on this tank. Let's get to the pros and the cons of the tank now. Some of the pros and the cons for the G is that as a Tier 7 medium tank, you will see up to Tier 9 matchmaking maximum. As you do see up to Tier 9 matchmaking, when you do get into Tier 8 and 9 matchmaking, you will have problem penetrating most Tier 8 and 9 tanks if you don't know where to aim at. Up to Tier 7 matchmaking, you will have no problem penetrating tanks if you know where to aim at. The way how you would actually play the Shiri is that you would actually play the tank as a support tank, as a sniping tank, as a flanking tank, and as a frontline attacking tank if you know what you are doing in the first place. But the main playstyles that you're going to be playing the Shiri as will be primarily as a sniping tank, as a flanking tank, and as a support tank. Some of the pros for this tank, when you do have the autoloader, the Top Gun, on average, if all of the rounds do hit, you will do about 390 damage on average, which is equivalent to a Soviet 122mm tank gun average damage. You have a large amount of hit points, good gun depression, good view range, good signal range, and the Top Gun, it has a pretty short aiming time. Also, The aiming circle, it is pretty small. When you do fire the autoloader from one shell to the third shell, the uh, the aiming circle have a minor increase between shells. Some of the cons for this tank: you have no armor whatsoever, but you may get a few lucky ricochets from time to time. The tank it is pretty the tank it is pretty big. The Coming from the Cheeto to the Chewy is just a bigger version of the Cheeto. As a big tank, this tank it it have no camo whatsoever as a big tank. This tank can be pretty slow and sluggish at the same time. With the tank being for the upgraded, it is slightly maneuverable at times, but you will be a slow and a big sluggish tank most of the time. The tank it can be penetrated by most guns up to Tier 9. HE rounds will just wreck the tank if it hit a vital part of the tank. The tank gun the tank gun damage it is pretty low. The average AP damage it is 130 damage, which is pretty bad at Tier 7. Let's get to the research part of the tank now. The research for the Cheery it is pretty straightforward. Coming from the Cheeto, assuming you have all the equipment research already on the Cheeto, the research for the Cheery it is pretty straightforward. The only modules that you have to research on the Cheery is the top engine, the top tracks, the top turret, and the top gun. If you just want to go through the Cheery as fast as possible, you just have to only research the top turret and the top gun on the Cheery. The unfortunate thing about the Cheery is that none of the equipment on the Cheery it is transferable to the STA. So pretty much all of the equipment that you're going to be researching on the Cheery, you're going to be using it on the Cheery only. The tracks will give you 42.3 tons to work with 30 degrees of hold traverse. The the default tracks, you can have all of the best equipment on the tank mounted right away. The upgraded tracks, they are just optional. The upgraded tracks just increase your load limit from 42.3 load limit tons to 44.8 tons. The whole traverse speed, it increases from 30 to 34, so getting the tracks is not a bad idea, but it is optional. The engine on this tank is pretty good. The default engine, it is not that bad. 500 horsepower with 15% being set on fire. The default engine you can use if you want to, but I wouldn't use it because the upgraded engine will give you 50 more horsepower, which will bring it up to 550 horsepower with a slight increase in the engine being set on fire from 15% of being set on fire to 20. The upgrade engine, you will be using it only on the Cheery, so you can get the top engine if you want. Both of the engines are pretty good. Most of the radios you would have unlocked already on the Cheery. The default radio, you will have 400 meters. The top radio, you will have 750 meters to work with. You would have gotten this top radio on the Cheeto. The two turrets, they're pretty much the exact same. The only difference between the stock Cheery turret to the upgraded turret is that the upgraded turret will allow you to mount the autoloader tank gun, a minor view range increase, and increased hit points. That's it. Both of the turrets are pretty much the exact same. The two as stock guns, the 7.5 centimeter tank gun Type 5 and the Type 5 Model 1 gun, you would have already unlocked on the Cheeto. To get the top turret and the top gun, you would be using the Type 5 Model 1 gun, which is not that bad at tier 6, but at tier 7 it is pretty bad. The Type 5 Model 1 gun and the top gun, the autoloader tank gun Type 5, it is pretty much the exact same gun. The only difference is that the top gun, it is a autoloader variant of the top gun before the top turret. The only difference is that you will sacrifice a slight rate of fire difference. That is it. The top gun, the autoloader, have 3 rounds in it, which is pretty good. It's sort of like the same gun as the 5916 autoloader gun, which is not that bad, nor it is that good. The damage on this autoloader is pretty good. On average, you do 390 damage if all of the 3 rounds do hit, which is equivalent to a IS 122mm tank gun. Average damage. The pen, you will have problem penning most tanks, as the average pen for AP, it is 155. Premium ammo, it is 186, which is not a great improvement, but it's a bit of a improvement. HE, 38, average millimeters of penetration. The shell loading time between each shell fired in a magazine, it is 1 second. The way how you would use the top gun is that, as most auto loaders, is that you would fire your magazine as quick as possible, go into the open, especially when you're around a curve, use the curve to your advantage, fire your magazine, and go back into the cover of the corner for protection while you load your magazine. The default loading time for the autoloader is 10 seconds, which is pretty good. You can get the loading time decrease from 10 to 8.54 with quill and modules as well. To remind you that pretty much every single equipment research on the tank, it is non-transferable to the SCA. With the research part taken care of, let's talk about the ammo setup, modules that you want to be equipping to this tank, and the consumables as well. The consumables for the Cheery that you want to be using on it. You want to be using a first aid kit, a repair kit, and a fire extinguisher. This is a standard setup for me. First aid kit, repair kit, and a fire extinguisher. The modules I have equipped, they increases the view range, make the tank perform a little bit better, increase the tank proof skill by 5%. It The vents also have a secondary effect as well. It also decreases the loading time just by a little bit. The gun rammer just to decrease my loading time even more. Some of the modules that you want to have equipped. The enhanced gunning drive, if you want to have it equipped with optics plus view range increasement perks, which is quite good to have for a permanent up to 450 meters of view range. If you don't want to use code optics and perks to get the maximum view range with ease, you can use binocular telescopes. The maximum view range is 450 meters. Anything past 450 meters, it is just wasted when it comes to view range. The medium tank gun rammer to decrease my loading time by 10 seconds. Vents just to improve the tank performance and crew performance as well. Camelnet, you can use it if you want to, but I personally wouldn't. The rest of the modules, such as the toolbox, you can use it if you want to, but I wouldn't. I would save my toolbox for heavy tanks. The rest of the modules, I wouldn't use it on the tanks at all. The ammunition layout, I go with 80% of my rounds just for standard AP rounds, and the rest of the 20% it's for HG rounds. The premium round, it is not worth using. The cost 3,200 credits. It is not worth that increase in penetration. You can use it if you want to, but I wouldn't use it. I would just stick to HE and AP. Let's get into a match to show you how well I did in the Chewy when I was using it. This replay, I am playing the Chewy as a support tank. I will point out what mistakes I made in this replay. This AMX 13, he is trying to make a charge to our RDN kit. He paid the price quite dearly with his life. I am going to the rock hill now to this hill here to support my team advancement. When the T-26, E4, and the T-29 advance, I will move forward to support their advancement. Right now, I am just trying to support to support my team and just to spot for my team as well. The heavy tanks in front of me are moving. I'm checking to my left and front now to see if I can shoot at anything. This is where I made a mistake. I should have had stick to the low valley path there, which I'm going to pay the price quite dearly. This Sturmiel, he took a good chunk of my hit points off, and other teams in the middle shot at me. I went down in the valley here for cover, I got a pretty lucky ricochet, which doesn't happen a lot. I got a lucky ricochet on the back of my turret. Just don't expect the rear of the turret to ricochet all around for you. I am right now using my tank gun depression right now to shoot at this BK. When the middle enemy tank been killed off, the team in the west and the middle side will go to the city to support the rest of their team. This is where my usefulness to the team comes to an end. I cannot catch up to the rest of the team as everyone else finished the rest of the team off before I could get there in time. This replay I did okay. 650 damage, which is not too bad, and which is the 650 damage. It is not that good and not that bad either. Let's get to the next replay now. This replay, I am using this tank as a frontline vehicle, which I have some luck in this match. Right now, the Lemon Train here, which I am part of, we are doing a 1-pull-3 line push. I do play half cautiously. I use the train here as much as possible to try to protect me as much as possible. I try to move up here to get a better line of sight to shoot at enemy tanks. This split here, I missed my first shot on. I got back into cover here to get my magazine loaded again. I am trying to use the hills here as cover, just in case if any of the enemy tanks on that side do have a line of sight on me. I know the Jake Panzer is up here, so I try to get the advantage on him. I didn't see the Jake Panzer at first. I took a hit from it, two of them. I tried to get the last shot on the Jake Panzer, but the T-21 got the kill. I tried to get a blind shot off on that AT. I could not get a clear line of sight except for I missed both of my shots on that T-29. The enemy is capping right now. I try to get my shot on this 12T now. Got the shot on it. Being cautiously as I advance now, knowing that people from the hill and from our base could kill us. I am using my speed and my gun to my advantage to kill this AT. Right now we are winning right now, but that is going to change real soon. This M6, I try to get a shot on it. Right now, I should have been in the cap circle right now, which is going to be a bad thing later on, as I try to get the kill here. Later, I'm going to be in the cap circle. I am the only one left on this side. Right now, I am just trying to poke out to get a good shot on this M6. I took a hit from the M6 to fall back and reload. I did have the clear line of sight on this T29 here, but I am mainly trying to get the M6 killed. Right now, I got into the cap circle using this hill here as cover. With its hill here, the M6 had to come and get me. This T29 here, he is using the the train for protection. Right now, I am just keeping an eye out for just in case if the M6 come to me and kill me. I could have had a reset cap from here, but I unfortunately missed the chance. The T21 here is trying to reset. The M6 cell finished me off, and we lost due to the cap. But the enemy team won by capping. I did not too bad. I did about 1227 damage, which is not that bad and not that good. Let's get to the next replay now. This replay, I actually did quite well in. I managed to do the most damage on my team. I am right now making my way towards the town using the structures and the hills as extra protection as I advance. The team went to the west side and the east side of the map. Not that many people went to the hill, which is going to cost us the match. This is pretty good matchmaking. Unfortunately, they did not do all that well in this match. I am just checking if there's any RD or TDs on the hill there. I am trying to get back into protection. I use my clip to damage the M4 there. I got out and used my gun tool to take the easy 8 hit points down to 0. The red team, they got the hill to themselves. This is where I am trying to play on two fronts right now, watching the hill and the town as well. I got some of the T25/2 hit points. I got that kill on the T25/2, trying to get the video as extra protection on the tank kill. Seeing what is happening, I am trying to regroup and go back here to support my team. I am watching my video just in case if anything pops up. I decided to come back here again, seeing they could potentially make a push through the town, seeing the town is open. I am trying to hug the clip as much as possible, knowing that I am one-shotable by everything. The detector, I try to get a shot on it before I die. This header almost one-shotted me. I unfortunately left it on low health. The A43 got killed there. Something just hit me. I tried to get into cover here. I know if I go forward, I will be killed. This T-37 here, I tried to get my gun onto it so I can kill it. Unfortunately, he got into cover there. Right now, I made a mistake. I am in the open hill. There's a slight chance that people on the hill there, they could have had killed me while I was in the open hill behind the rock. They did have a line of sight on me. But now I am just being very carefully, just in case if I get spotted, I can get into cover right away. I am right now using the house here and the rock here as cover. If there were any tanks on the hill there, they could potentially kill me, as I am one-shotable now. The AT-7 there killed me, probably from the hill there in cover. I did pretty good in this replay. This replay, I managed to do about 1,670 damage. I did the most damage in this match on my team. Unfortunately, we have lost this match Let's get to the garage now and do a recap on the Cheery. Let's do a brief recap on the Cheery. The Cheery is a good and it's a bad tank. Overall, this is just a average tank. There is nothing good or bad about this tank. The only downside that I didn't like about the Cheery is that it doesn't have no armor whatsoever and the gun is just mediocre. You can keep the tank or sell it if you want to. There are better tier 7 medium tanks to use that can just outperform the Cheery in many areas. Throughout my playthrough of the Cheery, I actually grew attached to the Cheery and I am planning to keep the Cheery. I did not that bad in the Cheery at all. I did pretty good most of the time. I am planning to keep this tank as a fun tier 7 tank to use at tier 7 still. You can keep it or sell it if you want to. I hope that you learned a thing or two about the theory and how to use it. Good luck on the battlefield, everyone.